Hi everyone, I'm Ben, and this is the Board Game Blueprint. Now, have you been wondering a little bit about this logo right here? Sure, yeah, why not? We're actually going to have the designer, Eric from Small Town Mayor, talk a little bit about the story and the design behind it. Here we go.
Hey guys, Eric Slauson here, otherwise known as Small Town Mayor Games on the Game Crafter. I've been a member of the Game Crafter for a while, mostly participating in the contests and stuff they're running all the time. But what I've enjoyed the most about the community is the community itself. If you go into the chat, it's full of people asking for advice and giving advice, and it's always really cool to see, especially even near like contest deadlines when everybody should be focusing on their own games. Everybody's kind of like, oh, what does this look like? What can I change? So it's a really cool community. I mentioned community because recently JT Smith, one of the head honchos over at the Game Crafter, posted in the art and graphic design for tabletop games Facebook group, which is another cool community. He was looking for help with a new design logo for the Game Crafter. So yeah, JT said, I need a flag design for a project I'm working on at the Game Crafter. My very terrible art skills resulted in the attached images to give you an idea of what I'm going for. I basically want to make the Jolly Roger skull and crossbones flag, but for game design. Anybody out there interested in taking on such a project? This is a paid project. JT eventually went with one of my designs, but in this video, I wanted to talk a little bit about the design process that led to that final design and how it was shaped by the community feedback in the chat and in the comments, as much as JT's or the clients. So I'm not going to go through the entire thread of comments and stuff that eventually led to the final design. I think there's something like 130 comments. You can check out the whole thread on the art and graphic design for tabletop games Facebook group. But I did want to hit some of the main things that happened. So the first two designs were actually posted by a guy named Jeffrey Chin. And he went with these minimalist designs, which I actually really liked a lot, and were kind of similar to the ones that I was working on as he posted them. So the first one he posted was this basic die and pawns kind of skull and crossbones minimalist approach. JT actually said he liked it, but he wanted to tie it back to the Game Crafter a little bit more. And the Game Crafter has a wrench logo, so Jeffrey Chin's second design kind of implemented the wrench logo, and then a pawn, and then a meeple. So adding a little bit more gaming elements and that wrench. Another guy in the comments, Paul Saxberg, actually posted another pirate-themed design with a meeple with a pirate hat with a die on it, also incorporating the wrenches. So at that point, JT kind of clarified what he was looking for. He was looking for something that followed the rules of flag design. So he wanted the design to be simple. He wanted it to use meaningful symbolism, 2 or 3 basic colors, no lettering, no seals. It had to be distinctive, but also be related to the subject. So at that point, I posted the design that I was working on, my first draft, because I thought it kind of followed those. And this was the first one that I came up with. So my first idea was this concept of a skull with the teeth being upside down game components. So I got different meeples and pawns. And I should also mention that at this point in the process, I'm using paint.net as my graphic design software. And then also all of my icons are coming from the Noun Project. The credits for those icons will be at the end of the video. And before I posted that design, I actually came up with 2 variations to add a little bit more game iconography. The first one was this design with a spade-shaped nose, and the next one I added these eyes that were dice, these kind of off-kilter mid-roll dice for the eyes. This one was actually a total reject. I don't think I even submitted it to the Facebook group. The D20 eyes ended up looking too insect-like, but the crossbone wrenches behind the skull, actually, that idea made its way into some of the future designs. All right, now these guys were the ones I really got into. I kind of took the things that people liked about the other designs with the skull and the game pieces, got a kind of more realistic skull, some wrenches behind the skull, as I mentioned, from the scrap design. And I posted several of these kind of back to back, one with hollow wrenches, one with filled in wrenches, one with a meeple nose, one with a spade nose. I kind of went through some different iterations of these, ones with crossbones below the skull, just different kind of plays on that Jolly Roger design that JT was asking for originally. It was mentioned that the skull was like a little bit more serious, and scary, and more biker of a vibe. So I tried to find one that was kind of more playful and silly, but it didn't quite feel right. It only got one like on the Facebook page, so nobody really responded to it. And then I tried to mesh the two ideas by using that silly skull with the game pieces, and it ended up looking completely terrifying. So I kind of went back to the drawing board with those. It was at this point that in the Facebook group, a friend of mine, actually, Ben Moy, asked why the Jolly Roger design again. And JT kind of explained, he was looking for something that was recognizable, and he wanted it to be, iconic, but he didn't really have a deeper reason for it to be that specific design. So I kind of asked for his blessing to cut loose, and then from there, I came up with some more experimental designs that still fit the theme that he was going for, but that didn't have that Jolly Roger feel. And while those experimental concepts didn't exactly click with the community or JT, that creative freedom is actually what led me to the coat of arms concept that actually evolved eventually into what JT chose as this new logo. So you can kind of see through these images how my idea progressed. Kind of used that basic concept. I kept the crossbones idea for the wrenches, but in each of the hollow areas, the vertices, I included some aspect of game design. And JT and I discussed what each of those icons might represent. The light bulb at the top being the idea that you get, the cards on the right being when you're prototyping, the person on the bottom being the playtesters, and then the die on the left being the chance of hitting it big. The last variation I tried was actually three meeples at the bottom to kind of get back to that community aspect, but I ended up liking the single meeple a little bit better, just a cleaner look from far away. So yeah, this is the final design. You can see how elements from the whole process made it into the final draft. We have the cross wrenches from the earlier Jolly Roger design, some of the game icons from there as well, like the meeple and the die. The icons kind of having symbolic meaning that JT and I discussed. The whole process was really cool. Like I said at the beginning, working with the community, I'm kind of having instant feedback in that Facebook group, and talking to JT through his vision. So this was a really cool project to work on. I hope you guys like the design. Again, check out the credits at the end for the icons from nounproject.com, and I will see you on the Game Crafter.
I know I definitely get a rush out of learning the designer's notes, and this was no exception. Who knew there was so much meaning behind all the different icons that were part of it? Yeah, you probably did. We hope you enjoyed that video, and that all the considerations that went into that logo you could even apply, perhaps, to your own designs. Thinking about what the meanings could be behind colors or shapes, and how those might instinctively elicit a response from a player. Maybe we'll have a video that goes into more detail about that kind of thing. Would that be something that interests you? Leave a comment below about how much you love the logo by Eric, and if you're interested in seeing any other content similar to it. I'm Ben. This has been another episode of the Board Game Blueprint, and together, let's build something great.